Hello, this is our quick news roundup of Scotland stories for today, the 5th of July. Now, of course, the big story is the UK general election results have been coming in during the small hours of the morning and are mostly in now. And we know Labour has a landslide victory, not only in England, but also an even bigger swing to Labour in Scotland, where the SNP lost 3 dozen MPs. Just about the worst outcome of those predicted in the recent opinion polls. More detail on that story in 5 minutes, but first of all, let's look at some of the other Scottish news stories we've heard this week. And we begin with some bad news about bathing water quality from the Environmental Protection Agency, SEPA. Water samples from both the Heads of Ayr on the Clyde coast and from Fisheros Sands at the mouth of the Esk have shown high levels of bacteria. You're advised to keep out of the water until those levels fall back to normal and the cause is investigated. Hopefully levels will go back down soon, but SEPA doesn't really know what the cause is, and at the moment there are signs up on both beaches advising visitors of the risks. If we hear any news on that during the week, we'll update you on that story. More information, as you can see here, on the SEPA website. OK, the Scottish Government last week on crofting called for your opinions on how to update the rules on the crofting industry. The government wants a new bill to encourage people to take up this form of small-scale farming as a lifestyle, and how generally to make things easier for the existing crofting communities. The consultation for this bill begins about now. The government is asking you to submit your opinions in 2 ways. First of all, you can write in reply to the consultation on the Scottish Government website, and also there's a series of meetings taking place starting about now and lasting up until the 15th of August all over the country. Jim Fairley, Agriculture Minister, says that crofting is at the heart of Scotland's cultural heritage. He wants to see the sector expand, incorporate innovation and see itself more as part of the tourism economy. The consultation period runs until the 2nd of September, and after that the bill will be drafted. And now a story on the student debt mountain in Britain, i.e. England. Going to uni can be costly. You might need a new laptop, and I expect in some courses you probably still need textbooks. Who knows? So Scottish students often graduate with a debt of on average £15,000. But that debt is not keeping people out of higher education in Scotland, where over half the population has a uni degree or equivalent. In England, however, folk must be wondering if going to uni really is worth it, because new figures show that 1,786,000 people owed between 50,000 and 100,000. There's even 49 UK graduates owing more than £200,000 at the end of their degree course. English students, of course, have to pay £9,000 a year university tuition fees. That does not apply in Scotland. When England brought in the uni fees, the UK government ironically established a students' loans company and based it in Glasgow, although the bulk of their clients, victims, are in England. Many English graduates can't keep up with the 8% interest rates charged. One student, a mature student in Croydon, says he is keeping up with his monthly payments, but still the amount he owes keeps increasing. Labour is all about change. Will they do something about this massive debt mountain in England? After all, President Joe Biden did cancel a debt for thousands of American students. The loans system is basically the American way imported into British politics. So that would be change. Now let's go on to something more cheerful. Music news. Next week sees the start of the Edinburgh Jazz and Blues Festival. It runs from the 12th of July through to the 21st. Venues all over the capital include the Festival Theatre, the Grass Market and the Spiegel Tent in George Square. And that's a venue for a show I'm looking forward to. Next Friday is Nirek Mokhar and his Boogie Messengers. Non-stop piano boogie. What could be better? Also boogieing, Jules Holland's Rhythm and Blues Orchestra will be there. And that's next Sunday the 14th. And that afternoon there's also going to be a youth carnival with brightly coloured people from all over the world coming to party in Edinburgh. I hope the summer weather has arrived by then. So that's next week. So there's lots more happening, and here's a look at the website. So there's dozens of events and dozens of artists, and this is actually one of the biggest jazz festivals in Europe. So have a look at what is on there over those couple of weeks. Now let's look again at the big story, the UK election, and here's a summary of the general election in Scotland. Remember, where the winner is a party with more than 29 seats, 29 or more. And the figures for 56 of those constituencies today. First place goes to Labour with an overwhelming 37. MPs. Secondly, SNP on 9. And joint third are Conservatives and Lib Democrats, who at the moment have 5 each. There's still one seat that's not counted. That's counting on Saturday. This massive victory for Labour was at the high end of opinion poll predictions and a devastating result for the SNP. It's at the lowest end of their most pessimistic forecasts. So the opinion polls were absolutely hopeless when it comes to predicting the Scottish result. So today marks the start of a new relationship between Scotland and the UK government. Although it's not the first time we've seen a pro-independence government in Edinburgh and a Labour government in London. That lineup also appeared when Alex Salmond was First Minister and Gordon Brown was the UK Prime Minister. They did not get on well. But the challenges for the two administrations now, are how to achieve a good working relationship. How will the Starmer government relate to the government in Scotland? Labour talks about resetting the relationship between London and the nations and regions, as they call it, and they will beef up the Scottish office under the leadership of the Labour Scottish Secretary. We assume that'll be Ian Murray, but we don't know that at the moment. How does that work out in practice? Does that mean relegating Scotland to the rank of an English region while the big decisions are made in London? Let's hear out how that relationship evolves. The next big challenge is Brexit and growth. Labour is all about change. That's what millions of Scots have just voted for. But the biggest promised change, of course, is economic growth, which was, of course, pathetic under the Tories. But how can Labour increase the economy without looking again at the damage caused by Brexit? How can a UK government grow if it still imposes on itself a trade barrier against the biggest trading bloc on the planet? Stephen Flynn, the FNP's effective and popular Westminster leader, was actually re-elected on Thursday, and he emphasised the economic costs of Brexit whenever he got a chance to appear on the TV debates. Starmer, of course, rules out rejoining the EU in his lifetime. However, Labour has suggested ways of improving relations with the EU. Let's hope they do. And how does the SNP's devastating defeat affect the campaign for independence? Unionists, of course, couldn't be more delighted. And it's significant that Blair McDougall, who led the No campaign in 2014, has now succeeded in becoming the MP for East Renfrewshire, beating Kirsten Oswald of the SNP. Her party did stare at winning the Scottish election, i.e. 29 or more MPs, would open the door to independence negotiations with the UK government. Well, Unionists, of course, will argue that winning 9, not 29, means that independence is finished. Labour also won a clean sweep in Glasgow, the city that voted yes to independence. Labour won all 6 constituencies here. The independence campaign clearly has a lot of strategic thinking to do. Support for independence remains strong, although not more than 50%. It's about 50% plus or minus a couple of points on most of the opinion polls. Furthermore, the Scottish parliamentary elections in 2026 will be different. Polls have already shown that folk who vote Labour in a UK election will vote differently when it comes to a Scottish election. And although it's now less than 2 years away, polls so far show that the SNP look like being returned as the largest party in Holyrood. But can the independence campaign survive the mauling which its leading party has just been dealt by Labour? Can this divided movement form some sort of civic popular front and reinvigorate the campaign? In the SNP itself, where John Swinney today said there will be a period of soul-searching, will there be a complete overhaul both of the leadership and the political direction? Surely the SNP will be looking for a new leader before this year's out, and this time will they move on from the failed Sturgeon-Yusuf-Swinney grouping? And what about ALBA? Alex Salmond's new party of Scottish independence, will they be a player in the forthcoming Scottish elections? The figures from Thursday the 4th don't look promising. Their 19 candidates didn't make any kind of breakthrough, nor did they damage the SNP. The swing to Labour was so huge that ALBA's 2% really was not significant. However, ALBA may be able to win seats in the Holyrood Parliament. They have reasons for optimism. Firstly, as noted, folk vote differently in the Scottish elections. And secondly, any party capable of gathering 4 or 5% can win by campaigning for your second vote on the list part of the ballot in Scotland's PR voting system. So could a small ALBA contingent of MSPs act as a pressure group to push the SNP? Alex Salmond has already declared he will be a candidate for 26. So for Scotland's future direction then, both the independence movement and this channel are looking forward to 26. It's all to play for. This summer holiday election just finished was the away leg. The return fixture will be at home and it will be in May in 2026 and we will be covering it. News for Scotland is a not-for-profit media company based in Glasgow. We started making videos April this year and we aim to grow, looking forward to that election of 2026. Our small team of unpaid writers puts out programmes when we have the time to make them. If you would like to hear when we have a new show out, then you can click on the subscribe button below on YouTube and then you'll get a message whenever we have a new show out. Also, if you have a programme idea or of anything of interest to a Scottish audience, why not talk to us? Maybe you could make it. You can leave a comment below or you can write to us at our email address, which we'll show you here. So finally, in this quick election roundup, it's time to recognise the thousands of people who took part in Scotland's latest act of democracy, to all the election workers, canvassers and candidates who gave up their time for our national conversation. It's certainly not over, but we do congratulate the successful Labour candidates, now our MPs in London. Good luck to them, and we hope they can deliver at least some of what they promised. Thanks for watching News for Scotland. We'll be back soon.